Wanderer, The Ultimate Hippie Trail Journey. It's a great read. I have a ball reading it, and I think you will too. And we think it's going to make a very fine week by week series, if you will. TV, movies, let's make it happen. Join us. It's week 50 of the Stevie Wander. We start out in the town of Trabzon on the Black Sea, South Shore in Turkey, and spend a couple of days hanging out with some tourists and hippies that happen through, and then gets on a 2.5-day boat journey along the Turkish coast and the Black Sea, winding up in Istanbul, spends a brief time in Istanbul, sees some old buddies, and then hitchhikes out of Istanbul and meets up with Marshall. They have a ball, get drunk, hang out on the Sea of Marmara, and then go on to another day, get drenched out, and wind up on the sea, the Aegean Sea, which is part of the Mediterranean. Get the big picture? The Black Sea is actually part of the ocean system. It's salt. And let's go to the particulars of week 50. Here I am in Trabzon, Turkey on the Black Sea. I meet two groups of journeyers to the east yesterday. Stoned them on my Yevgeny. I break off a small piece from one of the strips with a flattened hashish tucked into my letters, and from a small piece in my wallet, which I am smoking in an Indian chillum pipe, which I am carrying in my green Yevgeny shirt side pockets. I swim on the beautiful Black Sea about 6 kilometers down the beach from the town. It's so mild. The sand is black, hence apparently the name. The sea is so beautiful. I'm picked up by 3 Americans in a car coming back down the road. Then we get blown away on my Yevgeny and eat together. They cut out, leaving me alone, but they pay for my meal. And like an idiot and a glutton, I eat again. Kebab for the 3rd time. I meet some other guys. We go for a ride to get stoned at night by the beach. So stoned, the stars just knock us out. I come back to town, I eat more. I get back to my room and I am deservedly throwing up and now diarrhea. I really deserve it after overeating like I did. It's time for me to get home. It's 13 September 1971, Monday. I'm still in Trabzon, but now I'm on board a ship awaiting departure to Istanbul. I'm set to sail for Europe. The water below the ship is loaded with jellyfish. The deck class is only 27 lira, a good deal. West again, my friend. The stars tonight are twinkling so much the Milky Way is very plainly visible as a band of light across the sky. And there are shooting stars to keep us entertained. Stars are a big deal when you get out of the cities I'm so used to. Well, it's many good times, and I'm traveling towards my home. This boat ride from Trabzon to Istanbul is so very beautiful. Good people to travel with, some heavy blows, drinking yeni raki, some weird Turkish liqueur, and vodka, very drunk and very stoned. I turn people on that have never been nearly so stoned before. Most of the time, the ship stays within sight of the Turkish Black Sea shore, so green, rocky, and beautiful. The ship stops a few times, and out I roll into some tiny port to eat beautiful fish in some cute little restaurant with an entourage from the ship and with the captain. 2 nights sleeping on the deck is far out. The first night is windswept in the front of the ship. The next is in back on a sitting deck, and I awake from a 6 a.m. deck swabbing. The beautiful, soft 2-day journey ends with a left turn into the Bosphorus and contemplation of Europe on my right and the mysteries of Asia to the left. Soon enough, big old Istanbul, and I am ultimately back to Europe and the West. After days on the Black Sea. And of course, after months on the road, almost a year, I come back to Istanbul and find this incredible architecture from the sea. And when you see it, you are in awe. But it was only a brief respite for me because it was time for me to get on. But I did enjoy my time in Istanbul, the intensity of it and the culture of it. It's quite something. It's magical. Let's take a look at Istanbul. The water makes it into a great place. The architecture is stunning. The Golden Horn is a water that separates the two parts, the main parts of Istanbul and the European part of it. So Marshall and I hit it out and hit it off. He has Aries fire to add to my own Leo fire, and we start a tremendous road adventure, despite Marshall seeming a bit of a straight. A few short rides in the back of trucks in the Sea of Marmara. We are at it, the bulge of water between the Bosphorus and the Mediterranean, and it calls us. A trucker takes us right to the sea. It's a beautiful swim. Marshall, a travel mate now, and I are obliterated stone from a chillum. So Marshall isn't so straight after all. We eat and get a ride with an old man in the cab of his truck. The truck driver has this incredible lump on his nose that is too much even to look at. The radio plays and we get into it. Turkish music, but we're jamming away. Suddenly, in the black night, the trucker stops and buys us 2 bottles of Chanap wine. We get blasted and really into partying. The guy driving the truck leaves us by the side of the road, but brings back more kebab and 4 more bottles of wine. When we get to our destination, we cut out on the driver and his truck with 2 bottles of wine, busting one on the road. A hell of a day. Let's look at the Sea of Marmara. It's between the Black Sea and the Aegean Sea, which is part of the Mediterranean. All the water in all 3 of these seas are, of course, ocean water, salt. Here is where Stevie and his buddy, Marshall, find themselves pretty drunk and having a good time by the Sea of Marmara. And while they were there, they started singing. Yep, American music. A lot of Simon and Garfunkel, Bridge Over Troubled Water, and the kind of melancholy stuff that made these 2 wanderers want to be back in the United States, where the music was their true culture. Marshall and I wake up and find hitchhiking a bit difficult, just 6 kilometers from a hostile border between Greece and Turkey. It's similar to the situation I faced in Cyprus when the Turks couldn't talk to the Greeks, etc. Geez, wow, somehow we catch a ride to the border. Next week, it's week 51. We start out on the sea, the Mediterranean Sea in Greece, make our way to Thessalonica for some fun adventures, but you're really in Europe now. When you're in Turkish Europe, it's not quite the same as the rest of Europe. And when you go across to Greece, it's actually Europe. And I go through hitchhiking, trains, etc., up through Serbia, Bosnia, Herzegovina, and on my way to Zagreb, which was quite an interesting town. I met some lovely ladies and people there. And then I hitchhike and make my way across into Austria, then across Austria on a train, and then finally to Zurich, where I'm able to exchange the ticket I bought on the way over for $118 and put the cash in my pocket. This ticket framed my trip and pretty much made it a 1-year journey because I had to get back to Europe to get that money. We'll see you next week. Listen, Our wanderer was thinking a lot about the exotic East that he left behind, especially Afghanistan, which had made a real imprint on him and was the last place he visited in the exotic East. So we are presenting the Afghanistan special. Through the eyes of our wanderer, you will see the land and the people of Afghanistan taken from our weekly segments in one concise piece, so you'll get a real perspective on the land and people of Afghanistan in our Afghanistan special. The Wanderer is a great read. It uses something we call the active voice. It's a hell of a lot of fun. You feel like you're right there experiencing it with our wanderer. And follow our route of the journey on our website at wandererbook.com.
Everything is a shattered blur to me. I get blitzed. We wake up on the side of the road, sleeping with our gear. Hey man, you all right? How did we get here? I ask. Oh, ouch, I got a vicious hangover headache, responds Marshall. I had too much to drink last night, as did you, but at least I remember our driver, Al, dropping us off at the side of the road after we left the bar. I don't remember any of that, I say, because you were passed out. We had to roll you out of the truck, man. Wow. Anyway, the driver said we are only 6 kilometers from the Greek border from here. Marshall and I move about slowly at the beginning of a new day. The previous night's festivities have us dragging. My hair is all mangled and full of knots. I try to pull my fingers through it, but it's no use. The rough going at pulling the hair on my head just adds to my hangover misery, so I give up. I must look like a madman to the outside world. We gather our gear and make way for the border. A traveler in a small car happens by and takes pity on us poor souls, giving us a lift the rest of the way to the border. Opposing soldiers glare at each other across a bridge that separates Turkey from Greece. The red and white stripes of the Turkish side meet the blue and white stripes of the Greeks at the midway point of the bridge. Hungover and still flying high, Marshall and I walk across the long bridge and enter Greece.